Have you ever done a DIY project or have a project coming up that you need to make sure that you're hauling big or heavy materials? Could be both. And there's not an easy way to get a good handle or a grip on these materials. I might have a solution, but we're gonna test it out first. What's going on? Welcome to today's video. My name is Colton, and today I'll be testing the DeWalt GRABO Lifter tool. I did get this from Lowe's, and yes, this is actually a Lowe's sponsored video. However, they made sure that they allowed me the freedom to give my honest opinion and review of this specific product. I found that this product was actually relatively difficult to find in store, at least near where I lived. And I had to drive a little bit of distance to get to the right Lowe's that actually had the product. There's a link down below. If you actually order it online and then ship it to a closest Lowe's near you, that may be the easiest option, or just get it shipped to your house. So this is the DeWalt GRABO Lifter tool. This tool actually has a couple weight capacities. If you're pulling directly from the material that you're trying to pick up, it has a weight capacity of 265 pounds. Now, if you're pulling more at like Spider-Man trying to climb walls, wouldn't actually recommend doing that unless you have two. I'm just kidding. Still don't do that. The weight capacity that DeWalt is suggesting is a maximum of 132 pounds. Now this is the tool only, so there's no battery. So you can see behind me that I actually have a battery and also a charger that you'll need to get if you want to use this tool. If you already have DeWalt tools, it takes a 20 volt max battery. DeWalt markets this product working on solid and semi-porous surfaces. You can see here, there's actually a list of products that it says that it actually works on. There is a tag ready or tag connector feature with this specific tool. I haven't used it. This may be another video, but essentially what I understand is you can take this product and you can actually tag it to see where your tool is. I think this helps reduce the chance of theft. Or if you're at a job site for whatever reason and you don't know where that tool is, I believe you're able to locate it. I don't know how granular, but we're not gonna get into that. Let's just unbox this tool. First thing, it looks like there's little pads for and like gaskets, plastic gaskets or something. We'll set that off to the side. You have your instruction manual, safety, warranty, all this other stuff. Make sure to read that, important things. I did actually go through this relatively quick, and one of the sections I found pretty interesting. In looking at some of the reviews and what people have said about this tool previously, some people are claiming that this tool can actually shatter glass. It can break the thing that you're trying to lift. So I thought, I wonder if there's an exhaustive list that DeWalt provides in this manual on things you can or should use it on and things that you shouldn't use it on. If you actually go to page 12, I'll try to get a shot of this, but it does say that there's recommended materials. Some porous materials that you can use this on is stone, timber, plywood, drywall, concrete, and cement board. Typical non-porous materials that you can use this on is glass, smooth tile, marble, metal, plastic, and finished fiberglass. This manual actually calls out specific materials that you should not use it on. Slate, glass that is less than 1/8 inch thick or 3 millimeters, plastic sheeting, rubber, or other flexible materials. So, put this off to the side. This is the guard for the screen, put that off to the side, and then comes the actual tool. Nothing else in the box. As I take this out, initial thoughts, it seems pretty substantial. It seems like there's a lot of room for, depending on how big your hand is, I think there's plenty of space for this. I would be a little concerned to see if my hand in grabbing anything specifically would hit on and off or release. It is just the tray, protected tray, set that off to the side. Now this tool is actually a little bit more heavy than I thought it'd be. It feels like it would be about 3, maybe 5 pounds, but all the weight is actually right here in where I believe the vacuum is. So let's put a battery on and test it out. You can see it is full charge, all 3 bars. Flip it on. There's a switch here at the bottom. It is currently off. You flip it to on. The screen turns on. At the very, very top, there's a little button here that you can switch between bar and PSI. I don't know if you can see that on the screen. Focus. Maybe not. You have a couple anchor points on both sides, 2 here and also 2 here. This allows actually for straps. I think that there's an additional safety concern with this, where if you are hauling something by yourself and you're not entirely sure, maybe you have a low battery. Maybe you need the extra peace of mind that the thing that you're trying to pick up or haul won't slip. Straps are sold separately, but I could try to find those and put them down in the description. So here you have this foam gasket all around, which makes sense. It helps create that seal that you initially need. But then that there's a second layer. There's a yellow harder foam that goes around that I would assume its job is to ensure that that seal is there. So you have a double gasket layer. This is able to form around and justify some semi-porous materials or things that have some texture. So as you have that form around that, then this is that other seal that guarantees that vacuum will pick up that product. Now it's smart of DeWalt to make sure that they have these 6 pads and making sure that the material isn't slammed up against the plastic and it's not going to break. And it looks like that there are 3 points where the suction happens. So let's turn it on. You take this button and you push it once, it actually starts the vacuum, and then you push again, it'll stop the vacuum. And then there is a safety and a stop button or a release. When you push this up and then you push this in, it then releases the vacuum, so then you're able to drop said material or, let go of it. I think it is smart that DeWalt actually has a label here at the front of the tool where you're reminded the capacity from lifting it straight up versus having it lift vertically. They're trying to just CYA. I think best practice is if you're trying to haul something that's big and heavy, wear some steel toe boots. You want to protect your toes, but also you want to protect the material that you're trying to haul. So I think the straps are a good safety precaution, especially if you're trying to haul the thing from point A to point B, and it's actually a significant distance. So we're actually gonna test this on a skateboard. This does a couple things. One, it's actually not entirely flat. This allows for a little bit of concave convex testing, so we'll test that in a second. And there's actually a little bit of gap currently. I can stick my pinky under there. I don't know if you can see that, but there is a hole there. It is on, hit go. Push it again to stop. Immediately you'll start to see these numbers drop. If you don't like to hear the constant vacuum going and you want that constant suction, you need to make sure that this number stays at a healthy place. There's a blinking bar at the very top. That was green full bars when I have it on. So it maintains that suction while it is on. Your handle, your grip isn't going to hit that release. If anything, it's actually gonna trigger the suction. So then to release, you put your thumb right here, you push up on this, and then you push down. Up, down. All right, try on this side. So a little bit of a curve there, we'll release this. So while the vacuum is going, sorry if I'm yelling, while the vacuum is going, if I push up the safety and try to release it, it actually won't let me do it. So if you always have this vacuum on, you don't ever have to worry about your hand hitting that release button on the thing that you're trying to haul. You have to actually stop it first, and then you accidentally push up and down to then release it. That's nice. Nice safety feature, DeWalt. So I also got curious and wanted to feel the suction from each little hole here. There's 3. 1, 2, 3. So I'm gonna turn it on. There's actually no suction coming from that one. There's suction coming from that one. And there's no suction coming from the bottom. So that is interesting to where the vacuum actually being created is only coming out of one of these holes. These other holes, I honestly don't know what they do. I don't know if it's a fact of putting air back into where the vacuum was created that helps that release. If so, that would make sense that only one other hole needs to be made. I'm nowhere near an engineer. If you know why they did this, 3 holes, but only one is actually creating the vacuum, let me know down in the comments. Now I wanna go test this on different materials that I have around the yard. Let's go test it out. First one is drywall. I did it on the back side of the drywall and I just set the tool on there and it didn't start creating the vacuum. I had to give it a little bit of a nudge. It stayed around the high 3s, but it worked. Next is finished particle board. This is the stuff that you normally see on shelving. It was finished white. Had to give it a little bit of a nudge. Overall, it worked pretty well. It stayed around the mid to high 10s, which is a really good suction. Once I turned off the vacuum though, you'll see that these bars started to blink red, so it did start to lose that vacuum. Next, I wanted to test out an unfinished particle board. Same shelving, just not painted. Same story here. I had to push a little bit to start that suction and that vacuum going, but once it did, it reached about the high 3s to 4s. Overall, worked pretty well. Next, I wanted to try out an old wood plank. This was something that was a little bit weathered. It has seen daylight, it has been through some rain, and no matter what I did or what side I pushed on the DeWalt GRABO Lifter, it would not create a vacuum or a seal. So this is a no-go. Next, I wanted to try out a cinder block. I know these cinder blocks aren't necessarily known for their craftsmanship, but how it cured, it looked like it could maybe work. But in the end, it's the same thing, just like the old wood, no-go. But knowing that DeWalt said that it would work on cement, I found a smaller cement block. This is a general paver that you would see, and it actually started to work relatively well, outside of the fact that the vacuum that was created had a very low rating. DeWalt actually started beeping at me, telling me, hey, this could drop. So I was stuck on the idea that cement was listed, and I went to a larger cement paver. Now this was cured a little bit better, it wasn't as porous, there's not as many holes, and it did actually amazing. The suction on this actually was listed anywhere from like high 9s to 10s. I then had an old piece of plywood. This was also weathered. Long story short, didn't work just like the other piece of wood. I then wanted to get a little bit more functional. There was a cargo box laying around from Thule, and given that this was a little bit more of a solid material plastic, I thought I'd try it anyways, and it worked great. And the last material that I wanted to test was a glass storm door. Now, if you've ever installed a storm door, you know that these things can be bulky, heavy, and awkward. So this is me attempting just a normal pickup of the storm door, but then when I used the Grabo tool, I just set it on there, started it, lifted it up, knowing that the glass was strong enough and thick enough, I had a new handle, and I was able to carry that door away with ease. One last test I want to try out was weight capacity. Knowing that vertically it didn't handle as much, I attached this to a secure spot on the patio and let it hang. I was apprehensive, totally thought I was going to fall, but at 190 pounds, this did pretty good. Thank you so much for watching today's video and checking this product out with me. If you've made it this far and you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe and like this video. Also, make sure to check out the links down below specifically for this Grabo Lifter tool made by DeWalt that you can find at Lowe's. Also, be sure to put a link to Lowe's down below in the description, and a huge shout out to them for allowing me to partner with them on this video. Final thoughts. Would I buy this product again? Yes, I would. I do think though that 2 will be better than 1. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.